First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello and welcome back to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, thanks for joining us. We are live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, our apps, and our website, all great places to find the show. But if you want all of the content, the website and the apps are the best place. So that's why I encourage you to download the Fox 12 Oregon app for whatever device you're on. That way you can make sure that you get all the things that we cover here for Fox 12 Now. But for this segment, we are going to be talking to Todd Davidson, the CEO of Travel Oregon. He's joining us again. He's been here for a few segments over the months, and he's joining us to talk about $3.6 million in funding for some competitive grants that Travel Oregon recently sent out. So we talk about how that works, how organizations apply for it, what kinds of organizations. I think there's over 50 of them, I believe, that received the funding for this. So there's a lot of them, but we do cover what some of them are. And there was an overall theme, too, to the grants. So I actually spoke to Todd previously. This is a pre-recorded interview, but we're going to play it right now. This is the first time that you're going to see it. So without further ado, here we go. Todd from Travel Oregon. Todd, it is so good to have you on here. Good to see you.
Thank you, Greg. It's good to be back with you. Always a pleasure.
And, you know, we were talking about this, the Oregon Competitive Grant Program, which really grants out a lot of money. And I think it was something like 56 different organizations that were recipients of funds for this. I'm sure you can clarify me on that. But can you explain to everybody, you know, what this program is?
Greg, you nailed it. Starting in 2017, Travel Oregon began dedicating 10% of the transient lodging tax revenue that we received to our competitive grant program. And so over the years, since 2017, when this program went into place, we've granted out over $20 million to a host of organizations around the state. This most recent round that you just referenced did indeed go to 56. So you've done your homework, my friend. Well done. 56 different organizations were granted a share of the $3.6 million that was just awarded a couple of weeks ago.
And so how does the application process work for this? There's 56, so it must vary year to year on how many people are actually awarded funds.
Yeah, it's a fabulous question, Greg, because it does vary year to year. The guidelines can vary. So Travel Oregon does have the ability, especially in consultation with our partners across the state, the local and regional destination management organizations that are out there doing business, welcoming visitors to their communities and to their regions. You know, we listen to them as well, and that helps guide where we believe the next round of grants should be focused. And this most recent round of grants was focused on making sure that we're really living into the promise that we want Oregon to be a place where all of our visitors feel welcome, where they feel they belong. So our focus was very much on accessibility and inclusivity. And that was the goal of this most recent grant program. And so the guidelines were put out there. We had a number of folks, literally probably over 100, almost 200 people that had submitted a letter of intent to tell us a little bit about their program. We were then able to work with them, let them know if this grant program was right for them before they spun their wheels, you know, trying to figure out if they should apply for this and such. We want to make sure that they're not spinning their wheels, you know, and that we can redirect them maybe to a grant program that's more appropriate for them. And we wound up with about 113 of those nearly 200 that submitted applications to us. Those are then reviewed by a team of folks from across Travel Oregon, so that you have the eyes of folks that do our marketing, our sales, our destination development work, our communications work, our research, all reviewing these grant applications and being able to weigh in with how can we move the needle the furthest, the fastest, to really make sure that Oregon is indeed that place where our visitors feel welcome, feel that they belong.
And I think that's great too that you do have all these organizations, if that, you know, to not spin their wheels if it's not going in the right direction, you know, helps them out, I'm sure, in a lot of ways as well. So no matter who it is, but with these 56 that received it, I guess let's talk about what kind of organizations, to give people a little bit of a context on that. So what kind of organizations receive funding for this?
Let's talk about a couple of folks that received some dollars right there in Portland. We've got the Alberta Abbey Foundation, for example, that received $54,000, and they're going to be promoting inclusive tourism in Portland around arts programming for Black artists in particular. They're going to be looking at marketing for Black music, Black History Month during February and during the month of June. So again, an opportunity for us to really lean into the inclusivity part of the travel and tourism industry to make sure all visitors feel welcome here. Second award that was right here in Portland, the Friends of Hoyt Arboretum received $100,000 to help them enhance some of their trail infrastructure within the park. They want to make sure that it's more accessible, that it's going to be able to be more inclusive. So they're actually making some improvements to an access point at a trailhead so they can support more recreational activity. So in other words, more of our visitors are going to be able to access this trailhead, regardless of a disability that they may have.
That's great. And I will say, actually, I just went to the Alberta Abbey for a show a couple of days ago, and it is really a cool place.
It's a very cool place.
It is, yeah, a pretty amazing venue. So that's great to hear what they're going to be doing with those kinds of funds. And I guess another question I have, just to give people a definition. So when you say accessible and inclusive, and those were some of the guidelines that you were looking for, what does that mean? What does that entirely encompass?
Sure. Let's talk about accessibility first. Accessibility for us is, again, in that spirit of wanting everyone that travels to Oregon to feel valued, to feel that they're welcome, to feel that they belong. We need to be in a position as a destination, as a state, to make sure that we're meeting people where they are. And there may be folks that are traveling to Oregon that may be hearing impaired. They might be sight impaired. They could be required to use a wheelchair all or part of the time. Some folks may have a disability that's invisible to you and I. And yet it may be a disability nonetheless. And we want to make sure that we're able to meet folks where they are. And so we've done things like at our Welcome Center at Portland International Airport. We have kits to aid parents that are traveling with children that have autism. And PDX has also installed comfort rooms where if a child with autism is in need of that service, the parents have an opportunity and a place that they can take them in between flights. Flights can cause anxiety for folks regardless, but young people with autism may be especially nervous about that experience, and we want to make it as peaceful and as comforting for that child and their parent as possible. So again, meeting people where they are. Not all disabilities are going to be visible, so we just want to make sure that we're just right there meeting people where they are. And sometimes it means, for example, investing in wheelchairs on the coast that are specially designed to go on the beach. Picture fat tire bikes in the way that they're used on the beach as opposed to a traditional mountain bike or road bike. These are like fat tire wheelchairs that you're able to access the beach and able to experience that with their family, have the campfire with the family on the beach, making s'mores, doing the whole bit. And they can have a secure place where they could leave their traditional wheelchair and be able to access one of these beach wheelchairs for probably little or no charge. That's what we mean when we talk about accessibility.
That's fantastic. Actually, just really quick, just a side note for everybody watching, we did an interview with the folks behind those wheelchairs at the coast.
Are they not cool?
They're so cool. Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, I know somebody. One of my coworkers actually had their family use one of those, and it's really, really cool what they're doing with that. So sorry, just wanted to add that note in.
It makes all the difference in the world when you don't have to split the family up based on one family members having differing abilities than other members of the family, and they're all able to enjoy the Oregon coast or wherever they may be together. By inclusivity, obviously, here we're talking about our visitors that are people of color, LGBTQIA, that we again want to make sure that our marketing materials, our events and programming, our interpretive signage, et cetera, are welcoming to all. They're inclusive of all. The history is inclusive and reflective of that, and that all perspectives are represented. So, for example, one of the grants that was recently awarded went to the Coquille Indian tribe down on the South Coast to make sure folks visiting the North Bend Coos Bay area understood that these are the ancestral homelands of not one, but three separate and distinct tribes. And so these interpretive panels are there. They're written by the tribes. You know, very important part of inclusivity is to have the people whose stories they are tell the stories. And so these interpretive panels were designed and developed by the tribes to help all visitors that are traveling there understand the history of this place and how rich and deep and diverse it really is.
That's fantastic. So those are great examples, just looking at that. What were the guiding factors? I mean, well, I guess you kind of answered that, actually. You really encompassed a lot of what I was going to ask in that question. Looking at it, you know, with these funds, how soon do these organizations receive those funds, and how soon can they start activating whatever it is that they're doing for each one?
You know, as soon as we announce the grant awards, we go to work on the grant agreements so that we can get those in place, so we can be getting the dollars out and these projects can start being put into motion. We want as little daylight between you want a grant to you've got the money so you can get started. And we work alongside them in case they run into any delays for any reason. They happen. And we just want them to, you know, make sure they're staying in communication with us if there's anything we can do to assist them along the way as they're implementing their specific grant that they were awarded. But we're working on the grant agreements right now, and so we can get those contracts signed and we can begin getting those dollars out the door.
And what recommendation would you have for any organization looking for next year's competitive grants when they're applying?
We're going to have another round of grants that will be coming up over the course of probably the next roughly 12 months, as you noted, probably within the next year. And I would encourage folks to, right now, they can go to our industry website, which is industry.traveloregon.com, read about the grant program. The guidelines may change, but the parameters in terms of what are we looking for? What is it you're going to need to be able to bring to document, you know, you're an organization, you're a non-for-profit or government organization or tribal government organization. What are those kinds of things? So you can begin amassing that, because the guidelines or the focus of a particular grant program could shift, but some of the foundational work is the same. You know, being able to, you know, confirm who you are, have a budget in place, et cetera. So I would encourage folks to get out there and take a look at that. They should also, while they're on the industry website, sign up for our industry e-newsletter, because that's our #1 way to announce when a grant is going to be opening and what the timelines are going to look like and when that letter of intent that I mentioned earlier needs to be submitted. So get on that industry website, learn a little bit more about the grant program, sign up for our industry e-newsletter, and you'll be well ahead. Well,
Todd, anything else that you think people should know about when it comes to this?
You know, just how very proud I am of our team at Travel Oregon for navigating this program, because it's immense. As you can imagine, awarding $3.6 million, working with over 100 different organizations, selecting 56 for funding in this particular round. The team does amazing, amazing work, but they're excited about that, and they're eager to do that work because they are so moved by the quality of the grant applications that are coming in and the kinds of projects that they envision being implemented. And I share that. You know, I get excited when I hear about the organizations that are going to be receiving the grants, and I know the hard work that goes into that grant application, but I also know what the benefits are going to be for Oregon as a tourism destination when those 56 separate programs get implemented. And that should feel really, really good to all of us as Oregonians.
I like that it's out there too, so you can know, where these funds are going, and you can actually see, or witness what it is, how it's being spent. That's one of the things I think I'm going to be excited about, is just going down that list and like, oh, I'm going to go check this out now, whatever it is they're doing. So, well, Todd, always appreciate you joining us here to talk about this, talk about what Travel Oregon is doing. We've had conversations about how tourism's going, where this one's about the grants, whatever it is that we talk about. I appreciate your time in being here with us.
Right back at you, Greg. It's always a pleasure. So thanks for thinking of us. Thanks for keeping tourism front of mind. I look forward.
All right, there we go. That is Todd from Travel Oregon. Again, talking about those grants and just where all that money is going. So good to see that that's helping out some different organizations from around the state. As they mentioned, you can follow up and see the rest of those there on their website. And of course, you can go to kptv.com to follow up on the rest of the day's news stories and everything else that we cover here on this show and beyond. So check that out. Don't forget to download the Fox 12 Oregon apps. So for your phone, for your Fire TV, your Roku TV, your Apple TV, we've got it on all of those. Just search the App Store on each one of those and find Fox 12 Oregon. Download that. Great way to watch this show and the rest of our programming. Of course, we have our 4 p.m. news show coming up at 4 o'clock, shockingly. And in between there, though, if there is any breaking news, this is the place to go. So wherever you're watching me right now, whether that's Facebook, YouTube, the other sites that I mentioned, the other spots, definitely come here. We will have that if there is breaking news that you should know about. We will come in and bring you the facts as we get them. And other than that, I think thank you very much for joining us. We have lots coming up this week, of course, and a lot of segments that you can watch there. Also, another place to watch to our YouTube channel. That's also a great one. There's a tab there for the live tab. You'll see all the Fox 12 Now segments there as well. If you have a suggestion for a topic, feel free to email me. Just send in an email to fox12now, fox12now at kptv.com, and let me know what that is, and we'll see if we can maybe do a segment on that or do a deeper dive with a reporter about it, maybe a story that you want to find out more about. So thanks for watching. I'm going to sign off right now. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.